legal status. Many people fail to respond to RFE or file an application before the deadline. This is why we offer a strategy session for 15 minutes at no cost to you. Not everyone qualifies. First, you need to speak with our CARES team. We receive many requests, so we recommend you answer a few questions on our website, greencardguys.com. Our mission is to help people live and work in America legally. Go ahead and subscribe below and follow and share. Talk to you soon. What's going on if you have a situation where you have received an RFE on the top of your notice will say request for evidence or notice of intent to deny? You want to watch this show. You want to stay tuned, okay? Because there are serious problems when people, first of all, don't respond to the document, okay? This is USCIS giving you an opportunity to respond with evidence. They're essentially telling you what you sent so far is just not going to cut it, folks. It's not going to cut it. I'm all dressed up today because I had a court hearing this morning, so I figured why not? I'll stay dressed up. All right, so watch it. Stay tuned for this show. We are the Immigration Problem Solvers. My name is John Ting. I practice immigration law in all 50 states of America and across the world, helping you solve your immigration problem and maybe preventing the problem from happening in the first place. Because a heck of a ton of immigration problems that you may not even know, right? So that's why we're here on a live show to share this. Of course, I don't share confidential information, but I share examples, okay? I share our experience so that you know what to do in the situation. Okay, so if you're if you're first time joining greencardguys.tv, welcome to the show. What we do here is I go through the topic of the day or question of the day, really some tips that y'all can take home. And then also you're welcome to drop your question in the comment section or chat box on your respective platform. And I'm going to try my best to answer it with y'all. Okay, for you, I mean. But some people I'm not able to answer just because it may take a longer time, and I'll probably just record a video about your question. But if I don't answer your question or not as in-depth, don't worry. I try my best to go live every day, Monday through Friday, or you can give us a call. If you're on Facebook and YouTube, you can see the number right up here. Otherwise, if you're on IG or TikTok, DM me, DM us. I'm not always the one responding. Sometimes I do. But thank you so much for your trust. So to the topic of the day, how to stay informed when in anticipation of your USCIS sending you a request for evidence. Because I would hope that when you're preparing your file, okay, that essentially that you might need to send some evidence in. So some of y'all are pretty proactive. You're like, man, I just wanted to send it in so maybe I can get the work permit, but maybe I didn't get the medical, or hey, I didn't really have that many joint bank account statements at the time I filed, but now I do, right? So you're wondering, well, how do you get that file? So generally speaking, you wait for the RFE, but you just have it ready, because who knows? USCIS might just waive your interview and just approve it. You never know. But the more proactive you are, the better, right? So wait for that RFE. But let's say one other thing you should know. Some of y'all call us and let us know, like, whether you're a client or you're thinking about joining our, allowing us to assist you. You're like, shoot, John, I moved already. It's been like 2 months. You already forwarded your address with USPS. But look, that's not enough, okay? If you have a USCIS application on file, you need to submit online. You can just Google search AR11, okay? Now, if you have a court case, it's even more critical, because if you get order removed and you're like, oh, shoot, I didn't know about a court hearing. Well, the first question we ask as attorneys is, did you update the court system, right? Did you notify the government attorneys? You have to do both, by the way. You have to notify the court, which we call EOIR. You just Google search that too. We call it E33. Or if you don't remember the letter and numbers, that's okay. Just immigration court or EOIR, change of address. you need to notify them. Okay. If you call in USCIS or the court system, they're not going to help you. They might pretend to help you. They may be friendly. I would hope they're friendly, but being friendly doesn't mean they're actually doing what you're supposed to do. So those are some tips you need to know because we receive calls about that, like, oh, I told USCIS officer, um, and they're going to update the system, but updating the system doesn't mean it's done accurately for the purpose what you need it to be done for. I know it sounds confusing the way I phrase it, but essentially the responsibility is up to you. Okay. The burden is on you to get it done correctly. Okay. So the key thing here is if you're changing address, is you gotta do it online. I think with the court, let me see if we can find it right now. E33. I thought I saw something you could do it online these days, but I could be wrong. Otherwise, it's the old school way to submit it by paper. It looks like you can. Looks like you can do it online. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, well, so who would have thought the government actually is updating their systems? That's good. But they're not good to update your case in terms of progress, like Domino's Pizza Tracker. We're not sponsored by Domino's, but would love to be if you work for Domino's. Um, let's see here. So an RFE situation. Okay, so I hope I drilled down the situation, but change of address because a lot of people get in really bad situation, legally speaking. So that's a huge problem. Okay, you don't want to be order removed. You want to be notified of the next court hearing, and so yeah. Anyways, I won't go on that rant. But second thing you need to know: go on these live shows. It doesn't have to be me only. There's plenty of attorneys on going live, or find a way to talk to a lawyer, okay? Because a lot of people don't reply to the request for evidence. So I think I mentioned that's tip one, but I'll mention it again. This is how important it is. You need to respond to the request for evidence. And if you already thought, like, okay, I know I need to hire a lawyer for this, I need to at least have a strategy session, consultation with an attorney, but don't wait till the last week, okay? Because if some of y'all wonder, well, why is this attorney charging me so much money? It's because you waited till last week. Okay, don't do that. Okay, don't do that to yourself. Your legal status is on the line. And let's say you're in a situation like, okay, you got married, and there's no situation, no concern about like overstay in the sense you're getting sponsored by someone else. Not going to go down that rabbit hole, but you might think, oh, I could just refile it. Fine, I'll just refile. If you're that nonchalant, then I guess I wish you the best. But if you're, because then you refile, you got to pay more fees, right? You got to repay the fees. USCIS is not going to give you a refund. Okay, folks. Some people have asked that, and I think that's honestly hilarious because I like to share the context of the situation. Every time there's a talk of government shutdown, USCIS is not concerned because they are funded by you, by the applicant, okay? Congress does not pay USCIS. They don't get any money, which you actually would think that the Congress should fund it, but they don't. They just rely on your application fees. So no, there is never a such thing as a refund. Okay. Now let's talk a little more practical situation here. Let's say you received the letter in the mail, request for evidence, RFE. Okay. And you're looking at it, you're reading it, you're like, what the hell is this mumbo jumbo legal jargon? And of course, with us attorneys, we think it's usually straightforward. Like we read it, we understand what they're asking for. But sometimes when we mention to the, whoever calls us, we have a strategy session or client, and the person's on the other side of the conference call is like, John, I read this, but I just don't get it. We understand because you don't practice immigration law. This is what we do every day. Okay, it's all in English, but sometimes even U.S. citizens don't know how to read, comprehend something like request for evidence, and sometimes a notice of intent to deny. Because first of all, first thing we do is make sure is the information they're asking for even correct? Because sometimes the USCIS officer have copy and pasted information, facts about another case that's not even under our law firm or this applicant, this client. Yeah, it's crazy. So you might think like, am I going crazy here? But most of the time they get it correct, like it's your case and whatnot. But just want to give you some ideas. Like, don't completely stress out, but continue following us here on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Is that 4 platforms? That's nuts. And tomorrow will be LinkedIn also. All right. I can share a lot more, folks, but I know that I've got some questions that you would love to be love answered here. All right. So let me get down to it. All right, Hannah, do we do RFE for 220A? I think you're meaning 220. I think 220A is like a parole document. Do you mean 290B or I-212? Is that you're referring to? But yes, in general, we do assist with requests for evidence. So sometimes, depending on the application, there's a tight turnaround time. So even if you already filed your application, that's okay. And you filed yourself or you had another attorney. But look, we're not trying to step on any other attorney's toes. But if you are like, I don't like this attorney anymore, hey, you're the client. You do what you need to do. Okay. But you need to make a decision on whether you're going to fire that person or not, because there's limited time. Because let's say you schedule a meeting with that original attorney and they don't really give you a game plan. I mean, if it were me, like I'm going to like a doctor, like I need to know the game plan, like what's going on, right? So we understand that. Our team understands that. I train them to convey the game plan. And I mean, the action plan is not just I'm going to respond to the RFE for you. That's that's not that detailed, right? So we go in like our system. We like know what questions are we supposed to. We going to ask the client. What questions do we expect the client to ask, and what documents are truly missing that we need to ask the client for with. So that kind of give you an idea. And on the bottom, we put actually like takeaways, like to do, action, to do items. And so that's how we quickly get things done. We don't just write on old school yellow notepad and then not look at it for a week. Okay. That's not how we roll. So RFE, appreciate the question. Yes, we do assist for request for evidence response in general, but you do need to speak to attorney sooner than later. And please, not the last week. You're going to give yourself a lot of headache and stress. What we do, let's say you hire us for RFE, we put it on the calendar. If you don't hire an attorney, put the deadline on your calendar, okay? And then don't do the situation where like, oh shoot, today's a deadline. And you're like, damn it, today's a deadline. Can I mail it today? No. USCIS needs to receive your package, and just put this in your head before the deadline, okay? Okay, preferably. So what we do is we put several reminders in the Google Calendar and or in a calendar system, like 3 weeks before, 1 week before, and our intent, if we had all the evidence that we need from you, is that we mail it at least 1 week before the deadline, okay? Because you just never know with FedEx, USPS, especially during pandemic years, there are some issues, even though they guaranteed delivery a certain day. So we don't mess around with that, okay? Because we don't want all that hard work that you've done or our team together have gone to waste because missed the deadline. All right. So that's how we roll. That's how we operate. All right. Next question. Your asylum case is on PD, but now your 485 is administrative closed. Is it possible to reopen it? Absolutely. So you need, I think what you mean, user, is that you have an order. I hope this is what you mean, that you have an order of dismissal from the court. And so the best way to do this is to send a cover letter explaining the situation to the USCIS to get your case reopened, your 485 application, and of course, provide them a copy of that dismissal order, because the agencies don't talk to each other. Okay? Do not assume that. Do not make that assumption, please. Because let's say you mail in that letter and you're like, okay, I got my case dismissed, and you tell them the situation, and then it's not a situation where they're going to mail you a letter back and communicate to you that, oh, thanks for your letter, but where's the order? There isn't that workflow. I mean, you would think in my USCIS account that they could ask a question like that, like, hey, we just need this one little thing. No, that's not how it works. So don't assume that just because USCIS does appear to have some useful technology or use of software that they have it all worked out. So on the end of the day, that's where an attorney can help you. I don't think most attorneys would even assist in that situation, but we would definitely assist and like take over your case or notify USCIS if you allow us to take over your case because it just makes sense for us to do that. Just help you all the way through, even if you're ready to file your application. All right, now to Instagram here. Candy, what's going on? Your dad is in the UK. We love visiting London, by the way, to get those biscuits, scones. You want to ask how many years visa was he been given to enter? Has he been issued a visa? I mean, ESTA. I don't. Hopefully, Hopefully, you're still on. You can send a follow up information here. He's in the UK now. He's a UK national. What kind of visa? What kind of visa is he applying? Visitor visa? ESTA? You should be able to apply for ESTA. It's a visa waiver, essentially. So you don't have to have it in your passport. Okay, I'll come back to you, but let me know more information, okay, Candy? Emmanuel, all right, let's see. 5 months have passed since 485 interview and no answer. Ooh, 5 months. That's getting there. It's getting there. How long should you wait? Okay, so we do file a mandamus lawsuit for this. We prefer to wait at minimum 6 months. Okay, if you're in certain jurisdictions, if you live in certain what we call jurisdictions, like we have relationships with certain U.S. assistant U.S. attorneys who handle immigration cases like this. That we can. It's part of our gold plan. You pay more. It's our highest fee essentially. You're paying for our connections at the end of the day. So, or possibly we could skip filing a lawsuit, but essentially send a demand letter. But we've established relationships with certain attorneys to see if we can get that moving for you, right? For the response, the decision, for example, or if you didn't have the interview, if other people didn't have an interview, to have the interview scheduled without having to file a lawsuit. But I don't have those connections across America. Not every court, so it just depends. Okay, so let us know where you're at, and I can let you know. But that's part of our goal plan. But in general, I would say, Manuel, probably wait 1 more month on that. Okay. Kareem, where can you file for citizenship? Does it have to be exactly 5 years? No, actually, you can. I'm assuming because you mentioned 5 years that if you got residency through your spouse, but no longer married to that spouse, you got divorced, or you're separated but not intending to stay together anymore, then I would wait the 5 years. Okay. Or you got through sponsorship, green card through non spouse situation. So to answer Kareem's question directly, you can file it up to 3 months before the 5 year period. Okay. Up to 3 months. It's kind of interesting why they do that, but I have no idea why. But yeah, 3 months before. So up to 90 days before. If you file it the 91st day before, or they receive it 91st day before, they're going to reject it. So when you receive a rejection notice, don't feel bad like you did something wrong. Just mail it back in or something, which you can file for citizenship online. Who would have known? By the way, you can't file every application online. Okay, so I'm going to stay on for about one more question. I got to hop off to a team meeting. You have J1 visa, 2-year restriction in your home country. Can you sponsor for H1B? So that restriction, I don't know if that restriction, I have to check on that. If you call us, okay, schedule a meeting. I believe that restriction is for adjustment of status only, but I can't remember right off the top of my head if that 2-year restriction is for H1B, or like another non-immigrant visa. Okay, so message us on TikTok or give us a call, schedule a meeting. Okay, yeah, that's definitely a big deal. That's coming up for you because, by the way, folks, the first 2 weeks of March is typically when the H-1B registration is, and it's only one time a year. One time. It's ridiculous. All right, folks, I appreciate all the questions. Sorry. Hey, Tony, what's up? Good to see you. Right, Tony. If you fail to respond to RFE, you will get annoyed, or or denial letter. So you just be careful on that. What's our success rate on 601 cases? Fortunately, it's very, very high because we have certain game like guidelines and things that we share with clients as early as day one, so that there's no lag time or delay on preparing. And we set up meetings every couple weeks typically to get that done. So if you think you need a medical hardship or disease or condition to get approval for 601, no, that's not the only thing. Okay. All right, folks. Thank y'all so much, and y'all have a wonderful day. Take care now.